G'day guys, my name is Wildcard and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for following my content. Whether you do agree or don't agree with my opinions, I still do appreciate you watching this video, so thank you for being here. It's second week of the Six Nations, second round of Six Nations. First game we have on the list is Wales versus Scotland. Wales at home, Scotland away. And Wales had a pretty poor performance last week. They had a lot of criticism coming out of last week's game against Ireland, while Scotland's riding a little bit of high after beating England once again at home. This was winning back-to-back Calcutta Cup, 40 years in the making. So Scotland's riding a bit high coming into this game, whilst Wales at home is feeling a bit down and out. This leaves a pretty interesting dynamic, as we know that the Welsh team at home, especially when they're down and out, they swing for the fences and they can pack quite a punch. So let's see what's the some of the news leading into this game. The weather is going to be quite good, much better than last week. At least it's going to be at least relatively dry, maybe a tiny bit of rain later in the evening. And also there's a roof in Cardiff, so I'm not sure if there's still restriction on that, because last year they're not allowed to close the roof due to the pandemic. Not sure if that's been changed, but even if they don't close the roof, it's still going to be quite it's still going to be okay, because it's not going to be rainy it's not going to be expecting to be raining during the game. And then the bad news from the Scotland side, obviously the Jamie Ritchie is injured. As a result, there's a bit of shuffling in the Scottish side for that. So both teams going into these games had a okay autumn internationals. I think both teams actually showed quite a lot of character going in the autumn internationals against the southerner teams. Wales in particular had the current issues, so there's a lot of people talking about Wales currently really underperforming due to their injuries, like key players like Alan Wynne-Jones, Halfpenny, George North being injured, a huge losses for the Welsh side. But in the autumn internationals, Wales still play quite okay against their visiting teams, especially this game against the Springboks. Wales really put up a good fight, almost walking away with a win. One of the Welsh fans thought he was South African, came onto the field to try to make a tackle for the Springboks, and yeah, so that was a very close game for Wales. And also Wales had a bit of a close game against Fiji. They were pretty close. The score was pretty close until Wales put away in the last few minutes, like 10 minutes of the game or so, really pulled Fiji away, and also put out a bit of a controversial win over the Australia, 29-28. Still very good performance at home. Win is win against one of the top teams in the world, regardless. So last week's loss against Ireland is something that a lot of people were disappointed following these kind of relatively solid performances from the Welsh team. And we should have a look at the stats in a minute to see exactly what went wrong for the Welsh side last week. As a result, the Scotland team also had a pretty solid autumn internationals, probably better than Wales, to be fair. They had a blowout win against Tonga, following a nice little squeak out, a nice win against Australia as well. The Welsh win against Australia had to play with 40 men, so not really as impressive. But Scotland was able to, really closed out the game quite nicely against Australia, 15 points to 13. Scotland didn't play against South Africa as well as Wales did, maybe because of play style, because the Scotland also like to play a heavy kicking game, which I have a look at that in the stats as well. And that played kind of like exactly into the Springbok strategy, who also like to play this kicking game. So Scotland, basically kind of played into the Springbok strategy a little bit, leading to this loss here, and then finish off the autumn internationals with a nice convincing win over Japan. Scotland versus England last week, obviously one of the historical moments for Scottish rugby, beating England back-to-back Calcutta Cups, 40 years in the making. Scotland had a really good defense against England last week, really impressive. And then once again, it was the brilliance of Stuart Hogg would play really well as well, but it was the brilliance of Finn Russell and his kicking, putting England away, 20 points to 17. So have a look at stats. Let's have a clear breakdown on the stats on exactly what kind of happened last week. So for the Welsh side, there was a lot of issues. Some of the issues that I kind of initially thought was Josh Adams playing out of position at number 13 was a big issue for Wales. He was all over the place, on winger sometimes, to playing fullback at times. Not to mention that yellow card that really cost Wales quite a bit. And then I also thought Dan Biggar had a pretty poor game. He wasn't really able to link up with his players that well. He looked rusty. He looked out of position at times. And then finally, I thought Adam Beard, one of the key players for Wales, and who did really, really well, filling Alan Wynne-Jones' absence in the Autumn Internationals, really made a lot of uncharacteristic errors against Ireland in the set pieces. He was repeatedly caught collapsing the maul illegally, and I was surprised that he didn't get a yellow card, to be fair. So I thought that was a little bit uncharacteristic. His execution there needs to be improved. But looking at the stats back, there are some other more issues that kind of bled through more importantly from the stats. So first up, a big congratulations to Nick Tompkins. He really showed how good he actually was on the weekend. Really stepped up for the team. 21 tackles by, and then only 3 missed tackles on the back line. In a back line where you can see that the tackle count completion is quite poor. Bigger missed 4 tackles, only 63 completion. Louis Zamet also had a really poor game. 66 tackle completion, 3 missed tackles out of 6 tackles made. And he also conceded 3 turnovers at the breakdown. So really kind of poor performances out of Louis Zamet and Dan Biggar in terms of that. Tompkins, only one in the back line that did quite well for the team. And then in the forward pack, Tiem Basham absolutely did amazingly in the open side blanket position. 22 tackles, only 1 missed tackles, doing all the way. Wainwright did quite well as well at number 13 spot in the number 8. 13 tackles with 1 missed tackle. So the Wales team, the biggest issue, as you can see in the back line, is obviously the tackling issues in the center positions in the back line. But everything else from the Wales side was pretty solid from the looks of things. So going into this game, it's quite important to see that Dan Biggar, I think, to lift his game. And then also the kicking game from Wales was quite lacking a bit. 176 Louis Zamet and 182. Just to give you a comparison, let's look at the Scottish performance against England. Scotland kicking, you can see that, Finn Russell himself has outkicked both Dan Biggar and Louis Zamet combined. And Finn Russell is, his kicking game was quite spectacular in helping Scotland winning the game. Stuart Hogg, another kicking option, a fullback position, opening up more dynamics in that kicking strategy. And then also Ali Price as the box kicker at number 9 is a third option for Scotland. And Scotland, as you can see as well, their defense was spectacular last week against England. Everybody except for George Turner had above 80% completion rate in their tackle count. George Turner, again, 8 tackles, 3 missed tackles. If this was reduced by 1, he would have been above 80%. So overall, it was quite good for the Scottish side in terms of their tackle completion rate. And also another thing that I thought was really impressive from the Scottish side is so the tackle count was really good, the defense was really good, the kicking was really dominant. So that's the kind of like the matchup that we kind of wanted to the Wales have to kind of put up against if they wanted to have any chance of beating the Scotland this weekend. Van der Merwe, the guy that has the most run meters at 91 run meters for Scotland, and he's the guy that kind of really broke up the English defense as well. So the most dangerous man on the field for the Scottish side. So as a result, I was surprised to some of the Wales changes. I thought Dan Biggar, there could be an argument for Dan Biggar being replaced, but I do see that maybe Priestland, maybe they think it's a bit too old, and also with they do also have what's his name, Gareth Anscombe in the team as well, so he's also not selected. I thought maybe they could put Gareth in there, at least give him coming off the bench. I didn't think that Biggar's performance last week is quite frankly good enough to earn him another start this week. Also, Louis Zamet, I thought maybe deserved to be replaced. His performance last week wasn't that good either. But we'll have a look at the exact players in a minute. Yeah, let's have a look at the exact lineup for the weekend. So first up in the front rowers, big changes from the Scottish side. They put their whole bench up in the starting positions. So Wynne-Jones coming in number 1 for Wales. Ryan Elias comes in at number 2, and Thomas Francis comes in number 3 for Wales, unchanged from the week before. Scotland bench is in the starting spot. Pierce Showman comes in number 1. Stuart McAnally comes in at number 2. And Willem Neal comes in at number 3 in the tight head position for Scotland. Lock positions has been unchanged for both teams. Will Rowland comes in number 4. Adam Beard comes in number 5. Adam Beard, as I mentioned, had he really needs to lift his game this week if he wants to, like he's one of the key players in the Wales side to really, if Wales have a good chance of winning, he needs to really lift his performance, and he's like the key player in the 4-pack, in those set pieces, in those lineouts, to really give Wales that lift, that boost they really needed to put them over the line. So huge game ahead for Adam Beard, really need to be improved from his execution errors in the mauls, especially last week. Johnny Gray, an absolute workhorse for the Scottish side at number 4. Grant Gilchrist comes in at number 5. Johnny Gray is exceptionally good in the lineouts and really good at breakdowns. One of the danger man that's needs to look out for the Scottish for the Welsh team. So on the back line, on the loose forwards, we have Tiem Basham moves from the blindside position to moving from open side position to the blind side to number 6. Jack Morgan gets caught into the squad to debut at open side flanker position. His photo looks like Scott Burger, so maybe he has a bit of that Scott Burger play style in him. We'll have to wait and see how he performs in that starting number 7 jersey. And then Ross Moriarty gets moved up from the bench at number 20 for the at number 8 spot from the number 20 jersey for the Welsh team. For the Scottish team, the loose forwards has one change. Sam Skinner moves up from the bench as a result of Jamie Ritchie being injured. Hamish Watson stays at number 7. Matt Fagerson stays at number 8. Hamish Watson, the danger man, the workhorse for the Scottish side, looking to disrupt those breakdowns for the Scottish team. Now, the back line, there has been a few, big changes in the center position for Wales, and a little bit of a change for the Scottish side. So starting off, Tomo Williams at number 9, and he's once again put in partnership with Dan Biggar, number 10. Something I'm a little bit surprised about. I thought Biggar probably performance last week wasn't great. Biggar is the captain. Maybe the captaincy put extra additional weight on him. Sometimes players is a bit like that. Like if you have the captaincy to worry about, you kind of lose track of your own game a little bit. I thought his performance was, I thought for sure they were going to try someone different like Anscombe. But no, Dan Biggar gets the nod again at number 10 spot. Ali Price and Finn Russell, the same combination again for Scotland. Finn Russell's kicking game will be, putting Dan Biggar to the test, to say the least. Dan Biggar's kicking game around the field is, it's gonna be a bit of challenge to catch up with Finn Russell. Lewis Reese Zamet at number 11. I thought he probably should be dropped last week, to be honest, based on the stats that he put out. But they do like him for his that flair, and they do like him as another kicking option. As we saw, he has really good vision behind the defensive line, putting those kicks when he sees the space. But still, in my opinion, I thought the Josh Adams, despite being out of position, despite the yellow card, probably overall in terms of just having better defense, probably deserved the number 11 jersey over Zamet here. That's my opinion. Let me know your thoughts. Duhan van der Merwe, the most dangerous man in the Scottish side, gets a number 11 jersey once again. And this will be a really good matchup to see how he go against Lewis Reese Zamet. Nick Tompkins, the knockback, the cheat, the MVP last week in terms of his performance in the back line. At least for me, his defense was outstanding. Really carried that weight in the back line, whilst everybody around him kind of fell apart. Owen Watkins comes in at outside center position for Josh Adams. He's moved up on the bench from the 23 position. And Alex Cuthbert comes in at number 14, veteran for the Welsh team. He's just joined the team in the starting position on 14. So for me, I thought Josh Adams probably should be at number 11. Lewis Zamet should be dropped. Or if they really want to keep Lewis Zamet, I thought Josh Adams probably should get 14 jersey. I thought Josh Adams was a little bit hard done by last week because of the yellow card, and also because of him playing out of position a little bit. So for the Scottish side, Simone Tuipulotu gets moved up on number 12, the former Australian Rebels player. And then Chris Harris gets the number 13 jersey. Again, Darcy Grams at number 14. Following at fullback, Liam Williams, number 15, has got a really tough game ahead of him, dealing with the extraordinary kicking game that we're going to be expecting out of the Scottish side, both from Finn Russell and Stuart Hogg. Stuart Hogg coming in at number 15. So this will be a really good test in the fullbacks as well for Liam Williams against Stuart Hogg. So huge game. I thought Johnny McNichol was a really good fullback option. So for me, if I was to adjust the back line for me in the Welsh team, I would make a change at number 10. So I will probably try put what's his name? Not Priestland. What's his name? Gareth Anscombe. I will try Gareth Anscombe at 10 because Bigger had a pretty poor game last week. And what I will do is I will put Josh Adams at 11. I will drop Louis Zammit. 12 and 13 is fine. And then I will put Johnny McNichol at number 14 again because the kicking game, Johnny McNichol actually can double up as a fullback. So Johnny McNichol will be a really good fit here for the second fullback position, essentially at 14, to deal with the kicking game from Finn Russell and Stuart Hogg. That's kind of like what I will do. Let me know your thoughts on the comments below. I do feel like Liam Williams is going to have a really tough time this weekend against the kicking game. I guess Louis Zammit is the cover for the second, the second fullback position. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about that. In the bench, there's a new call-up for the Welsh side. Number 16 for Dewey Lake. And then Gareth Thomas stays at number 17. Dylan Lewis at number 18. For the Scottish side, the starting front row gets dropped to the bench. George Turner, 16. Rory Sutherland, 17. Xander Ferguson, number 18. Seth Davies stays at number 19. Magnus Bradbury stays at 19 for Scotland. At number 20, Aaron Winwright gets dropped on the number 8 spot. Despite having a really good game last week, he gets put on the bench for number 20. Maybe they want him as a finisher to kind of close out the game. Rory Darch gets caught into the Scottish side at number 20 spot. Gareth Davies, another really strong finisher for Wales at number 21. Callum Sheedy stays at number 22 on the bench. Ben White on the bench for Scotland. Blair Kinghorn stays at number 22 for Scotland as well. The last spot of the team, number 23, Jonathan Davies, a huge name, a huge veteran, 33 years of age, gets called back into the squad at the, I think could be coming in for the fullback position, Jonathan Davies. And then, or maybe even center position, could be center position actually, most likely. And then Cameron Redpath, number 23 for Scotland. So my prediction in this game, I think if Scotland gets a bit overconfident, Wales could potentially squeeze out a win, being at home, and also, Dan Bigger. It really comes down to how Dan Bigger performance and Finn Russell performance in this game, in my opinion. If Bigger puts up a good game, the whole Welsh team will get, the score could be drastically different. Or if Dan Bigger can just turn this game around from last week. Whereas Finn Russell, if he's a little bit off with his kicking, could see Scotland go down the drain. For me, my prediction, I think Wales could squeeze out a win here against Scotland. That's my prediction. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Let me know your thoughts on the selections. Let me know your thoughts on the predictions. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for the preview for for France vs Ireland, and then for the reviews on the weekend. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Cheers.